We need rechargeable batteries for electric vehicles. We need rechargeable batteries for having a wider penetration of renewable energies. So why you need a battery for a vehicle, I think that's quite easy to understand. Why we need more batteries for having a larger penetration of renewable energy is related to the fact that renewable energies, they are intermittent by nature. So for instance, the sun doesn't shine at night, or it's not always windy, or we don't always have the same waves. So if we want to have a large reliability on renewable energies, we need to have at least a certain capacity of what is called a stationary energy storage. For instance, if you have solar panels at home, you need to have a battery at home to store the excess energy that you can capture during the day to use it during the night. And so why lithium in relation to rechargeable batteries? Lithium-ion batteries are the best battery technology and the best rechargeable battery technology that is known by far. And lithium-ion batteries, they have certain characteristics that they completely outpass any other battery technology. So above all, they have an extremely large cyclability. So the cyclability of a battery is how many times you can charge it and discharge it, charge it and discharge it. So maybe the elder people listening to this will probably remember electronics with, so for instance, digital cameras with those rechargeable batteries that you had to change every year and a half or so. Or if you think about the lead acid batteries used still in cars, in the old cars, for getting your car on, every now and then you need to change that battery because the battery dies with time, so it doesn't cycle anymore. On the contrary, lithium-ion batteries, they can cycle for very, very long time. For instance, most of the time when we discard an old mobile phone or an old laptop or tablet, the battery is still working. And that's something great, and that's why when we think about rechargeable batteries today, and particularly in relation to electric vehicles, we think about lithium-ion batteries. I work with lithium extraction from brines. That's the point I need to clarify. You can recover lithium from different sources. You can recover lithium by what people generally know as mining, which is hard rock. So you need to crush a rock and somehow dissolve a rock to get the useful mineral. You can recover lithium from hard rocks. That's not what I work on. And then lithium has, it's very, very interesting because in different places in the world, you can already find lithium in a solution. That solution, we call it a brine because it's highly, highly saline. And in the country where I'm coming from, where I live and work, Argentina, together with Bolivia and with Chile, we have extremely large resources of lithium in these aqueous solutions or brines. You'll have a little bit of those in Europe as well, but they are much more diluted. You have some geothermal brines that they are lithium rich as well. What we try to do is to develop new processing technologies for those brines so that we can recover that lithium from the brine using less water than what is currently used. In particular, in Argentina, where I live, and in Chile, lithium is recovered by evaporating large amounts of water because the lithium in this aqueous solution is quite diluted, so you need to concentrate the lithium, and in order to do that, you evaporate water in open air evaporation pumps by the action of the wind and the sand. And that is done in the middle of the desert, so losing water in the middle of the desert it has raised a lot of environmental concerns. What we try to do is to develop what is called direct lithium extraction technologies so that we can recover that lithium without evaporating the water. And one also in parallel, what we would like to do is to try to recover some of the water from the brine to produce fresh water. So this brine, as I said, is highly saline. It's much more saline than seawater. And we do have technologies for desalinating seawater. These are usually applied in places where energy is largely abundant or inexpensive. So you can imagine that if a brine where lithium is contained is even more saline, it's going to cost more money and be technologically even more complicated. We would like to get some water, at least some water, fresh water out of these brines in parallel to the lithium production. I'm going to concentrate on lithium aqueous sources because that's my specialty. As I said before, there's also lithium in hard rock. Regarding the lithium aqueous sources, the biggest challenge is that new sources that are found, they're usually very diluted as compared to the sources that are currently exploited. To give you an idea with numbers, the sources that are currently exploited, they are usually 600 ppm. ppm means parts per million of lithium and above. So some go all the way up to 1,500 ppms. So those are the ones that we know how to exploit. And then we are finding more and more resources, but they are around 100 ppms or 150 to 100 ppms in the best scenario. So if you compare 100 ppms to 600 ppms, it means it's 6 times more diluted, or 15 times more diluted if you compare it to the best reserves that we have. That is one of the challenges, the concentration of lithium. And the other challenge is that the technology that we know for sure works, this technology I was referring before, that largely relies on water evaporation in the middle of the desert, it requires, first of all, very extreme aridity, because you require large solar irradiation, very strong winds, so the brine concentrates quicker. And it also requires flat and inexpensive land, because you need to build huge, enormous open-air evaporation ponds. And that's not available everywhere in the world. I would say in most of the places where you have lithium, that doesn't happen. Either because you don't have aridity, because it rains a lot. Let's say, for instance, in the Rhine Valley, it rains a lot. And also because you don't have abundant and inexpensive flat land, because coming back again, for instance, to the Rhine Valley or to Europe in general, Europe it's densely populated, so you don't have areas that you can just allow yourself to build huge open-air evaporation ponds. These open-air evaporation ponds, they are larger than rugby fields, and you could build 50 of those rugby fields. So imagine you need a lot of land, and that doesn't happen everywhere. So we need to develop alternative technologies, first of all, because of the environmental concerns related to water evaporation, but secondly, because this currently available technology, the evaporitic technology, is only applicable to a limited number of resources. There is a non-negligible or a rather large fraction of the population that opposes mining in general. It doesn't mind whether it's lithium mining or copper mining or zinc mining. They say, we don't want mining as a statement. There have been indeed many huge pollution events in human history, and I'm not talking about the Middle Ages, I'm talking about very recent times related to severe contamination and severe environmental damage related to different mining sites all around the globe. So I can understand that a lot of people oppose mining. However, the world in which we live strongly relies on mining. If we want to keep our standards of living, we do need mining, even if we don't like it. I mean, the houses where we live, they contain steel and iron within their walls. We wouldn't be able to build tall buildings if we wouldn't have iron. Some of our windows do contain aluminum, so we do need aluminum for our windows. It's not just beer cans. And the prime example for me, it's everything that is related to medical equipment for diagnosis, so for X-ray analysis in general, echographies for pregnant women to know how the baby is placed. I mean, many of us, we wouldn't probably be alive if there wasn't, like advanced medical diagnosis in our hospitals and clinics, and we do rely on that to a very, very large extent. Our living expectations have been prolonged, number one, because of antibiotics, and number two, because we can diagnose more and more illnesses that we couldn't diagnose 100 years ago. And in all this medical equipment, there's a large array of metals, and there's no way to build this equipment if we don't have those metals. So the question is, how do we do more sustainable mining? And we certainly need to be extremely careful and try to develop mining processes that are as sustainable as possible, that they require less amounts of energies, that they produce less waste, that the waste that it will still be produced, because it's too childish to say no waste, zero waste. There always will be some mine tailings, but how are we going to contain those mine tailings? And all those are extremely valid issues that we need to discuss and we need to address. But if we want to keep our standards of living, we need to keep on doing mining. So the question is, how do we do more sustainable mining? If you work in the mining sector, you will be contributing to the development of many different technologies. Metals contribute to the development of, coming back to what I was saying, medical diagnosis, but it's also contributing to the development of computers and electronics in general that facilitate our life and that entertain our lives. It's the mining sector is contributing to the building of our homes. It's contributing to so many aspects of our life that it's fundamental, and you could be part of that.